This is Papa Smurf. You're listening to Our Lifestyle, the podcast, with ODB and the mayor.
Yo, this is Rob Margie, and you're listening to Our Lifestyle podcast.
Yo, as we get started, we want to thank our title sponsor, Scrapin' the Coast. You can visit scrapinthecoast.com for more information. Their next event, 22nd annual, is going to be the last weekend in June. They haven't yet announced it for 2024, but rest assured we will be out there. One of the biggest, baddest shows in the country. Get ready for more information coming soon on Scrapin' the Coast. Tap on the hashtag #ScrapinTheCoast for more information. We appreciate the continued support of Custom Car Show Productions. Yo, it's Our Lifestyle Podcast, episode 349. It's 2024. We're going to bring you not only the audio segment via your favorite podcast app, but keep it posted to YouTube where you can actually watch this video. So you'll see us. You'll see that there's not a lot of puppet strings going on. Mike's over there pulling them. I want to thank our title sponsor, Scrapin' the Coast. You heard at the top. We'll be out there in June. We'll talk more about it. But first, Biggity Mike the Mayor, I saw you just a moment ago take a swig off of some Jack Daniels. How you doing?
Dude, life is good. It is Eastbound Getdown week. It's not just a weekend.
You said it's Eastbound Getdown week, right?
It's Eastbound Getdown week, baby. And we are so excited. We can't wait for the weekend because, hey, I've gotten so many phone calls, so many messages. I just actually, a good friend of yours messaged me earlier. He's coming from Wisconsin and flying in for the show because he's getting the hell out of Green Bay.
Don't even tell me. Does his name rhyme with Tice? Tice? No?
No.
Okay.
You honestly don't know the guy, but I was just saying he was a friend because he's a Green Bay Packer fan because he's from Wisconsin. So
yeah, we gotta talk about that.
Down. He's excited. It's his first time. He can't wait to see the mini trucks. He's getting away from all that snow. They're getting like 3 foot of snow this weekend or some crap.
What's that?
I don't know. So he's coming to Florida. What better time to come to Florida than to get away from all that snow and to come to a damn mini truck show? It's exciting as hell.
We're going to raise the roof at Sinners and Saints because the Atlantic Truck Meet, the big homie, Mark is going top ropes on him.
Yep. Atlantic City Truck Meet.
Atlantic City Truck Meet. But here's the thing. Mark, the word of the street is Mark said that he could take Hank down in a headlock. So I told him, I said, if Mike ups the insurance, because I got to get with you. If we up the insurance, that I got a wrestling ring I'm trying to bring. I don't know if you're going to let us set it up. That's the big thing. Because Glenn said that he wants to get in it.
Well, hey, if you're bringing it, we'll set it up. How's that?
Oh, boy. Okay, so Mike, for those scoring at home here, I mean, dude, I'm going to rattle this off because I was thinking about this today.
Okay.
So far, if I was a betting man, I would say I think we got 11 states that are going to represent that we know of. So we got Florida, of course. Florida man, a.k.a. Mike Murray, is going to be representing. We have, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Georgia, Tennessee, Texas, Louisiana, Oklahoma, Mississippi, and we had Massachusetts.
Okay.
That's a lot, dude.
That is a whole bunch. And hey, if our favorite sheriff comes to town, he's from Whitesburg, Kentucky.
KY, baby.
Yeah.
And we ain't talking your favorite substance that you sometimes have to. Well, we can't talk about here, Mike, because dude, I know you've been texting me. It's a family
show, Jay. It's a family show.
Dude, listen, you've been texting me some filthy stuff, dude, and I don't want to get in trouble.
Nonsense. More nonsense. All nonsense.
So check this out. Here's what we got going down. It's 2024. Happy New Year, everyone. We're going to try to keep things shorter and sweeter in 2024. We've said that before. Some of the episodes might be shorter. The good thing is, Mike, here's what I want to say, dude. Set goals and meet those goals. In 2023, we said we're going to do a bi-weekly show. We did not miss one episode every other week. Now, we gave you one period where we did the one in between as well. So we gave you 3 in a row. So we technically gave him an extra one. But Mike, that's what it's about, whether it's professionally, in the truck scene, family-wise. Set those goals and make them happen. 2024 is a big year. I always tell people, use your notes, write it down, whatever you want to do. I'm a big list person. Mike knows this. Yeah, I got a crazy list for every shows. Vape juice, scratchers shooters,
are must.
all kinds of crazy stuff, the Mizags. But at the end of the day, dude, you set those goals, you can X them off. That's what we're going to be doing this year. Mike, this weekend is EBGD, also known as Eastbound Getdown. I know that you're excited. Kim, Shannon, John, you guys collectively have put a lot of work into it. What's the buzz right now that you're feeling as you get sideways into the weekend?
Bro, it's I just got off of a podcast. So guys, do me a favor, go check out Big Jeff Audio. They're the presenting sponsor this year for Eastbound Getdown. And that's what's up with the chain. It's his swag pack, Big Jeff Audio. I want to thank those guys. But this year is year 3. And the amount of emails, the amount of messages, the amount of text messages, and I'm just looking forward to Friday, man. Friday is going to be such a good day. Friday, of course, is setup day, but there is a lot of people that are coming into town on Thursday and are getting ready and set up on Friday, ready for the show to happen Saturday and Sunday. And there's going to be a lot of people in town early. So if you plan on coming in to Eastbound Getdown and you want to come early, come on down early, because there's going to be a lot of mini truckers already there. And there's going to be a lot of them that are actually going out to the beach on Thursday. And if you're not at the beach, come hang out at the hotel, because there's going to be a lot of people there on property at the hotel already. Remember, guys, we got Jay had mentioned the Saints and Sinners grill, a bar that's right there on property, but we also have Hooligans that's right there, and we also have the Colts Pig Stand that's right there. Great food at both places. The Hooligans, you can actually go in. It's a big, they got the TVs, great food, great beverages right there on property. Everything is right there, guys. So you can't miss out. It's a great, the beach is, I want to say 7 miles straight down US 1. So you runs you right into the beach. It's a spot you don't want to miss out.
Yeah, so if you are hearing this and you're a stone's throw away and you said, you know what, I want to get out of town, it's Eastbound Getdown, G-E-T, Getdown Show. So Eastbound Getdown Show altogether. You can find out more information. Mike, one of the biggest things we continue to hear is folks go, hey, all these shows are sold out. Can I get in? Bottom line is they can arrive day of, even if they're local, and they can stroll in. They just got to pay their fee.
Yes. Obviously, we do a pre-registration like every other show. We give you a cheaper price to pre-register. Day of, we have a purple parking section. We have the red parking section. We have the pavilion parking section. So we have 3 different areas. And, of course, we have the stereo portion. So you choose which section you want to go to, and there's a price tag on each one. Pavilion parking is $120. The red section is $75. The purple section is $65. And the audio portion is $60. So you have plenty of options. You choose where you want to go, and you can come in on Friday. Go ahead and pay your registration, get your window sticker, get your armband. So when you stroll back in on Saturday, or it's much easier when you come back in on Saturday if you already got all your window stickers and your armbands. But if you come back on, if you get there on Friday, you can even leave your car there. We have overnight security. We got plenty of trailer parking. Everybody's asking about trailer parking. We have plenty of trailer parking. It's going to be back where the spectator parking is, the same spot that it was last year. I don't know if you guys weren't there. There's going to be plenty of signs on, there's a map on the website, on the event page. It shows you, it tells you where it's at. But once you get on property, there's going to be signs. There's going to be people running around in the red shirts. You're going to see them all weekend long. It's the staff, it's the crew, it's the family, and we're all there to make sure you guys have a good time.
Mike, I got the official, you don't know this, I stole your SIM card. I got the official Eastbound Getdown phone right here. I mean, everything is getting piped right in here. And we just got a late breaking question. This guy says, hey, can I show up on Saturday? He said he's got about 60 feet of that yellow police line caution. He said he wants to basically just like rope off a big area for about 30 of their club members, but they have to all get there at the same time, right?
Absolutely, especially on Saturday.
Yeah, he said that they haven't registered or anything like that. They
roll in together, park together. It's real simple.
Yeah, he said they're driving from Hialeah or something, right here, right on the official phone.
Yeah,
so,
no problem.
Okay.
We'll take them. The girls will take good care of them there at registration, and you just roll in and they'll get you taken care of.
So on this episode, you may have seen the thumbnail. We're going to have Phil Rush on. Phil is an OG mini trucker. You're going to be blown away at all the stuff that he's done. He also had a cover truck, technically once, but technically twice. We break the news to him, something that happened 20 years ago this month. Stick with us to the end. I'll also tell you how many Toyota trucks grace the cover of Mini Truckin'. So you got to stick with us to the end, and I'll break that news to you guys. Mike, the overview of this episode is brought to you by our family. I know they can't make it this year, but Hammered Weekend Wear, if you want to save some money and go to HAMMERD, weekendwear.com, Mike, they've got the kind of the open enrollment. And if you get in on the subscription, that's officially what it's called, whether it's a banner, a hoodie, a tank top, shirt, you name it, you'll be able to save some loot, Mike. And, that's a New Year's resolution for me. Eat out a little bit less, be a little bit more mindful of some of the spending. People keep hacking my eBay and they're ordering all kinds of weird things that are arriving here, records and cassette tapes. I told my wife, I said, there's got to be, it could be Hank.
What about that transmission? Did that transmission show up that you needed?
Nah, didn't.
No? Shit, okay.
Oh, aren't you bringing that back from with the Lacucci weekend this weekend?
Oh, wait. I was supposed to bring. All right, my bad.
Yeah.
My bad. I'll take care of it for you. No problem.
Oh, yeah. So, Hammered Weekend Wear, again, thank you for the support. Mike, I got one question for you. Are you ready?
Now it's time to get serious.
Hey, now, guys, y'all can see the no cheating going on, all right? When I get it wrong, I get it wrong. So, all right, let's do this, Jay.
Okay, it's a two-parter because it is 2024, so we want to give you an easy one and maybe a harder one, Mike. You know what I'm saying?
You know what I'm saying.
So, on the famous show that featured Tim the Toolman Taylor,
okay,
what was Tim the Toolman Taylor's neighbor's name?
Oh man. Honestly, I don't even remember the name of the show.
Oh, dude, Home Improvement, bro. You cannot say 1990s without that, brother.
Well, I just told you I couldn't remember. I just talked to Joey the other day, and Joey now, he's beating the crap out of the Dash.
Oh, dude, the Dash is out. He ripped it out. He sold the truck, dude.
Oh, hey, guess what? The truck's going to East. So finally, he sells a truck, and the truck's going to be at Eastbound Getdown this weekend at Destination Daytona.
The Dash is out, I've heard.
Oh man, hey, I'm wrong again because I have no idea. I don't remember. I know Tim Allen. He was the guy that was the actor, right? Wasn't it Tim Allen?
Remember when he needed the good life advice? He'd go out back, and you could never see the guy's face. You could only see half of it, kind of like this. I mean, dude,
I don't know, man. I really don't.
It was Wilson.
Wilson. How can I forget that?
And that goes back to Tim the Toolman Taylor many, many years ago. I think he would talk to his neighbor or something like that, and that's how he wrote that into the show, which was kind of cool.
Did you actually watch this show?
Yeah, I watched it.
Oh, okay, all right.
Because
I remember it, but I don't remember it that well to me knowing who the neighbor was that he talked to.
Okay, so do you know who the model was? This is part two. Who was the model that played on the show?
I think it was Pamela Anderson.
Yes.
Oh, thank God. Thank God. I knew
I didn't know that. I was possibly going to wrestle you to the ground.
Oh, man. Thank God I knew that one. Thank you, Joey. Thank you.
Trivia.
Give me a high five right now.
The Mayor is brought to you by The Spark Show. Visit thesparksshow.com every year, August in Sevierville. This is, I believe it's going to be the 11th annual. Mike, I hate to tell you this, man. I hate to break you this news. I know I was going to text you the other day, but I figured you would maybe come more unglued if I told you on the live cast deal. Don't be mad, dude.
Oh, never. Why would I be mad?
I mean, my team made the playoffs, dude.
Guess what? My team made the playoffs too, and we won our division.
I don't want to hear anything about the Bucks. Okay. What if I told you Maddie got?
Pushing
What if I told
right now? Fast forward.
What if I told you Maddie got us tickets to go to Dallas, dude?
Wow.
What would you say?
So you're not going to be able to make it to Eastbound Getdown this weekend?
What would you say?
I would say fucking have a good time, bro.
That's why I was testing you, because I thought you were going to come unglued and you get a tick mark. I'm coming to Eastbound Getdown.
No. I would go to Dallas and watch the Green Bay Packers and the Dallas Cowboys play before I go to damn Eastbound Getdown.
I told Maddie this guy will start a Texas tornado that will be freaking bellowing smoke. I said I'll never hear the end of it. But, hey, I just want to let you know, I may have to peel out of town a little early on Sunday. I'm still going to get all the coverage Friday, Saturday, Sunday morning, because you know where I'm going to be at 4:30 on Sunday.
Where are you going to be at 4:30 on Sunday?
Right out here on this couch.
No.
Tuned in to hopefully the pack. Dude, you cannot tell me Jordan Love did not exceed expectations.
Absolutely. And actually, I seen a thing today that said the Green Bay Packers are the youngest team in the NFL history to make the playoffs.
Since they've been keeping that stat since the 70s, which I'm like, dude, who are these stat keepers?
Dude, what a dumbest stat ever. Who cares? Yeah, just go out and win, okay? Just go out and win. Hey, go Pat, go. Go Pat, go.
Go, my man. And best of luck to your team as well. Check this out, Mike. ODB Live and Uncut. I just want to tell people, let the good times roll this year. And I want to also tip my cap to Joey Dilworth at Get Decked. Did you see the attitude check artwork from Graphic Disorder?
Yeah, I mean, come on, Graphic Disorder. They come through every time. They never disappoint.
Listen, I said this last year. I got to do better. If we don't cover a show, it's no slight against said show. There are a lot of shows out there, and I don't even know if I'm going to keep up with the calendar as close as I did last year, because I don't know if anybody really. I think most people get their info from Facebook in terms of you can go on there and go to the calendar and see all your events. But I failed to talk about Joey's show last year, and I want to let him know I appreciate him. Attitude check. I always want to say altitude check, but it's attitude check, Joey Dilworth. But Mike, most importantly, if you're a show promoter like Eastbound Getdown, or you're a brand and you want to get some skate decks, everyone loves displaying these things in the man cave, the Wool Man Caves. Hit up Joey Dilworth. And Mike, you just got to plan ahead, because Joey's got more and more orders coming in every year.
That is correct, because the decks that you're going to see at Eastbound Getdown, they are from Mr. Joey Dilworth.
Yep, and they're, they're what, like, how much are they? $10?
Well, for you, they're $100, but for everybody else, they're going to be $60.
60, or we'll do 2 for 150. You know what I'm saying? Let's just cut the deal right now.
Well, you know what? I'll even do one better. I'll do 2 for 130.
Nice. Okay.
And
then, you know what I mean?
Well, so, I mean, it sounds like a pretty good deal to me.
You know what I mean? Like a couple of scratchers on the side and, double it up.
All right. So are we going to do $1 scratchers or $5 scratchers?
$5's a minimum. Minimum $5, okay, dude.
All right. Well, hey, I just asking. I like the 10. I prefer the $10 scratchers.
Oh, yeah. No doubt. Again, thanks, Joey, at Get Decked. Hit them up if you want to get skate decks made. If you have your loved one that you want to put their vehicle on a skate deck, Joey will do orders as minimum of one, is my understanding still. But hit them up. Get with them. Get Decked _VA. Mike, the only scene update that I want to cover this week is something really I wanted to cover last week. I can't say enough that how excited I am about Mini Truckin Magazine coming back. Mm-hmm. They announced something big, and what was that recently that they announced? You can go out there and do what, Mike?
Well, you can subscribe, and because we didn't talk about this before, hats off to these guys for bringing it back, 1, and 2, getting over 1,000 subscriptions already. To me, that shows that many truckers want and will support a magazine. And so hats off to those guys.
Yeah, Logan Wade and Matt McCoy, they're really spearheading this. And I was on the phone. I can't talk about a lot of it, but with DJ Mays, right? One of our favorite DJs, DJing all these different shows. And what Mays said that he is so excited about with what Logan and Matt are doing, they're involving the key players. They're not putting any politics in it. They're not saying, well, this or that. They're trying to get the lineage, which is a Ronnie word, back to maybe some of the original guys, maybe a Brian McCormick, maybe he'll do something. They're going after the right folks. And what I've tried to do is really keep out of it, because what I don't want to do is I don't want to be the guy, as I told you, Mike, I don't want to be like, hey, man, you should do this. You should do this. Certainly, Logan has reached out and he's like, hey, Jay, would you be willing to do this? It's like, boom. I don't want to dictate the way things should go. I truly believe we're in good hands, and I'm not talking about, Allstate.
Allstate? Oh, okay.
Because I got State Farm now. But the thing I would say is, I'm proud of these guys for doing it. They're putting their necks on the line. But I'm more proud or as proud of the mini truck scene, Mike. As you said, over 1,000 subscriptions. You could do the math, even if you're not good at math, and you could say, look, the capital is there. Hopefully this year they're going to produce the 3. We know they will. I'm guessing they'll go quarterly next year. We'll see how that goes. Let's not put the cart in front of the horse. We all know that they can do it. I'm excited. We're subscribers. Don't want any discount. Just want to support the cause. And I ask that if you can do that, remember what I always say, ask not what the scene can do for you. Ask what you can do for the scene. A little play off of the JFK, rest in peace, famous saying. minitruckinmag.net, Mike. That's all they need to know. $25. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I know exactly what you're saying. And then also, I know that they put a thing out there about ads in Mini Truckin Magazine. So if you're a business, you're a company, you're in the scene, be a part of it and go out and put an ad in that magazine. That'll also help support that magazine as well.
And let's say you're a little low on the cash. The holidays are just past us, and you go, yo, I want to support the cause. minitruckinmag.net. You could buy a sticker as low as $5. They have 3 different colors. Again, they've got the right players involved. I think this can really grow, and we're excited to see what they do for our truck scene.
Well, hey, Jay, with that being said, since you brought up Mini Truckin Magazine, we will have at Eastbound Getdown Mini Truckin Magazine pick that was painted, designed, put together, made up, whatever you want to call it. Absolutely beautiful road sign best of pick by none other than Thad Cunningham. And that's going to be given away this weekend at Eastbound Getdown. And our girl Michelle Boone is going to be there representing Mini Truckin Magazine, and she's going to be making that pick. So make sure you guys are there and got those rides cleaned up and ready to be shot, because she's going to be capturing features for them as well.
Yeah, and rest in peace to Michelle Boone's. Was it her mother?
It was her mother, yes.
That passed away. And, Michelle, we know you and Dusty may hear this as you drive down. We love you guys. You guys support the scene. I know it's tough to lose a family member, a parent, any time of the year, but around the holidays, we know it's extra difficult. So keep your head up, girl. We see what you're doing. The scene needs people like you, and you guys are good kinfolk. And Mike, you didn't pay me to say that, right?
No, I did not pay you to say that.
Did Dusty pay you? Dusty paid you.
No. Definitely Boone's did not pay us anything to say that.
Yeah, I know.
But definitely look forward to seeing her, so I can give her a nice big hug this weekend.
Oh, yeah, no doubt. Mike, that's the only scene update that I want to cover this week, but I want to thank Garage Gear Clothing. This year, they're going to have their new trailer at shows nationwide. If you can't make it to one of the shows, go on garagegearclothing.com, show them some love, buy something, let them know in the notes that OLP sent you. If you're at one of these shows nationwide, go up to their trailer, buy something, let them know that you appreciate them. They are a great family-owned company, garagegearclothing.com.
Hey,
Mike,
they do have some free shipping, I do believe, as well.
If you spend Ben Frank, they've got it now. And I like that because you know what, guys? We don't talk enough about the shipping costs. Dude, paid the costs to be the bosses. The shipping costs have really risen, and I hate that, even us as a small business, if you want to call us that, we, the shipping stuff, I know, believe me, it irks us to have to pay what we have to pay, but it's certainly not cheap. And what they've had to do is move away from the totally free shipping model to something that says, hey, if you go and buy 5 shirts or 4 shirts, maybe a hat, boom, they can eat the cost at that point. So, but Mike, I don't have any industry updates that I really want to cover this week. I mean, there's a lot of recalls going on and all that stuff, but we do want to thank someone that I think is going to have an amazing show this year, Mike. We're continuing to see great social media presence, but the freaking weekend, you were there last year. Let's call that like the official wrap up of the summer, man.
Hey, wrap up of the summer. All I know is that's a perfect name for that weekend. It was a freaking weekend, man. We had a great time. And I mean, I've said it time and time before. I love going to shows where you stay there. Show is right there. The beach is right there. Restaurants are right there. Everything is right there. You don't have to get back in your car and leave and go anywhere. Everything is all right there. The pool party, the after party. I mean, it's off the chain. It's a freaking weekend. It's a freaking party, and it's a great damn time. Trip definitely knows what the hell he's doing. Year 1 was a blast, and I can only imagine what year 2 is going to be like. But I know OLP is going to be there, so it's going to be a good time.
It's going to be live and uncut. It's going to be crazy. Mike, I'm also waiting. Someone that was there has footage of you breakdancing. They said you were shot out of a cannon, and I'm trying to get the footage. They said that you would lay down the cardboard and all that, but I don't know if we're ever going to get it.
Well, supposedly I was told it was sent to you, and I don't know if you received it or not, but they told me that they did send it to you. And then I was also in the belly flop contest, because there's also a belly flop contest at the after party. And so, that supposedly they sent you the footage of that as well.
Yeah, I've got a BlackBerry over here. That's the official Eastbound Getdown phone, so I can't even get like text messages anymore or anything. You know what I mean?
Oh shit! Okay.
The BlackBerry service is all shut down. So,
well, hopefully we have a good enough year this year where we can upgrade the BlackBerry to at least an iPhone 7.
Yeah, just go buy a shirt at Eastbound Getdown, buy a sticker, buy a skate deck, because you guys have a very a plethora of merch. Are you doing the special hats and stuff too?
We got beanies, we got hats, we got skate decks, we got stickers, we got license plates, we got shirts. We got it all covered there at Eastbound Getdown, buddy.
Now, the freaking with an IN, so leave off the G, thefreakinweekend.com, Mike, they also have the new Biloxi Knights in the freaking jerseys. So this, I think, is going to be one of those things that, especially us in the South, you think about baseball being down here, the warmer weather. I know it's in Arizona too, but, in the southern states, this is something I can get behind. I love a nice jersey. And these jerseys on the freaking weekend look damn good. So shout out to Trip. And you can go on here and book a freaking room. I mean, dude, how cool is that?
Bro, I just love the way he's used freaking for everything, and everything that he advertises. It's perfect. I mean, it's the perfect name. It's the gimmick, man. The gimmick is good.
Dude, don't be saying that word too loud around Shannon, because I heard back in the day that like you were freaking, like back when Bubba had sponges and stuff, the clubs and stuff. I heard you were freaking you were freaking getting crazy. Yes. So I know that word sometimes brings up like PTSD for her. You know what I mean?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. But that's all right. We won't talk about that.
Yep. So, Mike, next we got the show updates. And look, we may be missing something here, but all I can think of on my head, off the top of my head, is we've got Eastbound Getdown this weekend, which is in Ormond Beach. Technically, it's Destination Daytona Complex, and it is a Harley Davidson. I think it's the largest one.
It's the world's largest Harley Davidson dealership. Yes, sir. It's right off of 95. You can't miss it.
You could go there, like after you buy your Eastbound Getdown merch, if you want to go get, like a vest or gloves or whatever, you can just kind of walk in there. But after that, Mike, we've got After Dark. And that show, obviously, kind of comes from the realm that you and your team would put on in the past. We've talked about that show has been passed off and sold to some new folks, and they're going to be putting that on pretty soon.
Yep. Yes, sir. And hey, OLP is going to be there, man. So it's going to be a damn good time. But who doesn't like going to a nighttime show? You ain't got to worry about it being hot. That's for damn sure. So make sure you guys go out and support the After Dark guys. And the After Dark remix, I believe, is what their title in it.
Yeah, and if you go on Facebook and type in After Dark, I'm seeing it as After Dark with one word and then 2024. That's going to bring you to Saturday, February 17th, 2024. Of course, 4 to 10, so it's that 6-hour period. There's some VIP spot potential opportunities you need to get with them and post in that group if you want to take advantage of that. If not, there'll be some general parking. I'm sure it will fill up. Before that, though, a couple weeks, I do think Angie Ellis, I think my wife said that her family, and they were kind of sick in the household, so they pushed back the Portillo's Cruise In, which is a local Tampa thing. That was going to be this past weekend. It's going to, I think, push out a couple weeks. So we'll kind of see how that goes. Obviously, that's a local meet. Now, I almost forgot to mention this, too. So, Drag in the Alley, February 3rd.
How can we forget Drag in the Alley, man? My boys, Aftermath, man. It's the bowling tournament.
Yeah, and Christian even hit me up, and he goes, yo, if Mike forgets this, he goes, bro, I'm going to – he goes, dude, he said he had brass knuckles made out of billet. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? But, Christian, listen, dude, last year, Drag in the Alley was a blast, okay? I didn't even bowl. I hung out with the crew. I got the pizza. The food was good. The atmosphere at that location, I think some of it's been remodeled. Certainly, if you're a mini trucker, I know we can't make them all. I'm not 100% sure if I can make it this year, but I will tell you, it is a good club, fun-filled weekend. Not even a weekend. It's just a day, and it's a cruise-in, so there's no fee to park out there. Everybody hangs out until it's kind of kickoff time where you roll in. Now, obviously, there's a fee for your club or your crew if you want to bowl.
I believe it's $75 if I'm not mistaken.
And you can't beat that for 2 or 3 hours of bowling.
Yep.
So everybody pitch in, and get you
and
a scratcher.
They'll have the top 10 trophies, and they'll have some best ofs as well.
Yeah, get you a scratcher. If you win 100, then boom, then you got 25 in your pocket. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Now, Lone Star Throwdown, I just want to remind everyone, listen, we know it's sold out. Come on out. We've asked people to bring more mini trucks. There's going to be some sick ones there, I can already tell you. If you just go to LoneStarThrowdown.com and you look at the title photo, and you see how many people and how many vendors, this is really the mecca for the truck world that weekend. 44 days away at the time of this recording, February 23rd, 24th, 25th, in Conroe. Mike, they cannot sleep on this. I'm telling you, it's going to be the event to be at this year.
If you missed out, you didn't get the pre-registration, that's okay. Come in, get your spectator armband. I believe it's $20 for the weekend, for the 3 days, because it's Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Pay your $20. It's going to be the best $20 you've ever spent.
$20 make you, what is the word?
Holla.
Boom, dude. Next, we got the podcast updates. Look, all the merch was shipped. I did make a mistake. I had it on the spreadsheet. It was missed. So we're working back to potentially, looks like we're going to do a small order to true up the few people that did not get the hoodies. But I'm telling you, one of our favorite designs of all time. I'm going to tell everybody, this t-shirt merch business is not easy, especially on our team. Everybody has upped their game. Okay. We love the Hammered Weekend wears. We love the garage gears. There's plenty out there for everyone. But I'm telling you, when you see as many people that bought this shirt and these stickers and the hoodies and banners, we cannot thank you guys enough. When people like Chris at CNS Metalworks say, hey, it's my favorite design, I love it. Dude, it makes us feel good because, listen, Mike and Shannon put a lot of time into this. We do as well. This helps pay some of the bills, with the fees that I pay for some of the editing software, the fees now with the streaming stuff we're doing. It really all goes back to that, and we can't thank you guys enough. If you don't want to pay the shipping, come see us at After Dark or at Lone Star Throwdown. We'll be there.
Yes, sir. And hats off and thanks for the support because when we got that order, Shannon's like, holy shit, there's like 4 pages worth of orders. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think it was 57 actual orders that we shipped out for that. And that was a good, and it took us a while. There's a lot of shirts to fold. That's for damn sure.
Yeah, and I thank you for the efforts. You think about it was around Christmas. You got your home watch business. You guys are ramping up for Eastbound. So it doesn't go unnoticed. So I thank you, Mike.
Oh, absolutely. Always, brother. We are happy to be a part of this. And thank you for everything that you do. Especially with all this, because I can't do all this. So you doing this, it makes it that much better.
Teamwork makes the dream work. The podcast update is brought to you by Graphics Mafia, GRAPHIX, mafia.com. If you need stickers or need to reprint some old stickers, talk to Buddy. Mike, last but not least, we got the Eastbound Getdown FAQ.
Ooh, another one. I like
and
this.
Listen, I'm going to throw this one on you. If you just think real quick, what are, like, if you had to go elevator pitch, what are the top 3 questions that you just are getting, maybe not every year, but this year, what are the stuff you and Shannon keep getting?
Okay, the first question is about registration. Yes, guys, come out starting Friday at 10 a.m. You can come out and you can register. Get your armbands, get your window stickers. Like I said earlier, pavilion parking 120, red parking area 75, purple parking 65, and then stereo is 60. Okay, so that's probably the number 1 question. Number 2 question, is there trailer parking? We have plenty of trailer parking. And you're going to see, when you get to the show, you're going to see plenty of signs, and there's going to be plenty of people there, the crew, the family, the team, whatever you want to call us. They're going to be there to direct you and lead you in the right direction.
Right. So you're saying when I pull in the parking lot, I shouldn't just immediately, because I got a flip phone, I shouldn't just flap the deal open and look for my speed dial and call Mike Burry and be like, hey, man, I'm here.
No, you don't have to.
Where do I go?
You don't even have to waste your time to do that. You just follow the signs. There's plenty of signs that are going to be out there.
Signs.
And yes, follow the signs.
I didn't know there were signs.
Dude, there's going to be signs, I'm telling you. And then all of our guys are all going to have red hoodies on, okay? And red shirts, red hoodies. And if you can't see the signs or miss the signs, just look for one of those guys and they'll be able to help you. We're going to change up a little bit. There's going to be a little bit different as far as where the food vendors are going to be set up this year. The vendors are going to be set up a little bit different this year. So you guys will notice we got more parking on the red section area because a lot of people want to park on the red side around the pavilion. We will have a few spots available for the pavilion. We opened up some more spots. We actually do have some more vendors underneath there. Don't forget about our club challenge. We have the club challenge, and basically the club challenge is there's a list, and it's all over social. It's all on our social media. It's on our website. It's on our event page that you can go, and it's to help our charity. Our charity is Sophie's Dog Rescue, and the club that brings in the most items that's on that list is going to win a $200 gift card for Hooligans that's right there on property, and they're going to have a table for you and your club, 7:30 Saturday night, a section already roped off. You just come in, hey, we're the winning team, blah, 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 and then they're going to show you where your table's at, and you'll have $200 to spend for you and your club there Saturday night, and the Hooligans is right there on property. So you don't have to go far. And so we're going to do that. We're going to do the decks for dogs. So it's also, we got all these different artists that have painted all these decks. They got the Slamfest logos, all kinds of different ideas. We've been posting all these different decks up on the pages as well. And we're going to have that auction on 1:30 on Saturday. All the money that's raised from the decks for dogs is going to go to Sophie's Circle. And Sophie's Circle is a dog rescue. It's a local not-for-profit dog rescue right there in Ormond Beach. And they come out. This is the 3rd year that they're going to come out. And last year, I believe it was $7,500 that we raised for them. And now they're going to come back out. And plus, I believe over 1,500 items last year as well. So we're going to do that again. And of course, don't forget about our pre-party on Friday night, because that was the other question. Where's the pre-party Friday night? It's right there on property at Saints and Centers, and of course, it's sponsored by Atlantic Truck Meet, Atlantic City Truck Meet, and of course, Mark is going to be. He's coming down. He actually talked to me earlier. We're going to have a cornhole tournament there as well, and we're going to have DJ Mays there playing, and that's going to be from 7 to 10 over there at Saints and Centers. So make sure you guys are over there for that as well.
Yeah, we got to thank CNS Metalworks again. CNS Metalworks. CS-Metalworks on the web, or CNS Metalworks on Instagram. If you need air suspension, including AccuAir, Universal Air, bags, hit up Chris and he'll take care of you. Mike, the last question I have is, I've been getting these direct messages, okay? And I know you and Shannon aren't busy at all, but these people keep, like, have you guys been just proactively messaging everybody? It's just going, hey, We need hey, can you send a cash app $50 right now?
Jay, I have to say this has been the worst year as far as these scammers, these troll, whatever the heck you want to call these guys, and it's been all over the event page. And I actually had a guy call me, or actually email, "Hey, can you call me, please?" They came to this. They've been to the show the first 2 years. You guys were super nice. Met you at the show. You guys were super nice. Never asked for any money other than when you pre-registered and so on. I've been emailed and private messaged asking that you have to send. Guys, we are not going to send anything to you asking you for money. So please do not send nobody money. Okay. Eastbound Getdown is not going to ask you for money or send you messages or private messages telling you you have to message up, you have to send us PayPal or Cash App, because it's been Cash App. We don't even have Cash App. We have PayPal, and everything's run through PayPal.
Can you cash out me some money, a couple bucks just for the weekend, man?
Oh my God, it has been insane. So yes, guys, please do not send nobody money.
Yep, and don't send. Listen, I'm going to tell everybody this. Look, this is a public service announcement. Listen, please, if you get text messages, your UPS couldn't be delivered, all these links, be careful, look at the links. And I'm telling you guys, spend a few minutes, turn on the two-factor authentication. It's a 2FA is the acronym. Sometimes it's called multi-factor authentication, MFA. There's two acronyms. Turn this stuff on. I'm going to tell you, he may not want me to mention this, but my buddy Kirk went over to Mecum. That doesn't really have anything to do with it, but he took a couple photos and he went to send them to me, and he realized he was signed out of Messenger, and he's like, "Well, that's weird." Try to go to Facebook. He signed out of Messenger. His Facebook got hacked, and I'm telling you, Mike knows. Just trying to reset a password. You get into this, somebody steals your account and then they change their password and stuff. When you have that two-factor authentication turned on, even if you go to change your own password, it sends a text message to you. They're not going to be able to clone your phone and somehow, unless they steal your phone. But think about it. You're going to have your phone with you. So if you have to change a password or someone steals your password, however they do it, when they go to change it, it's going to send you a text. And it's like, was that you? No. So I use the Microsoft authentication app, but I'm telling you, I hear more and more people. You could see it on Instagram. If somebody puts something up, "Oh, I just made $1 million on Bitcoin and I paid off my house," immediately report the account, unfollow. That account has been hacked. And I'm telling you, more and more people are getting hacked. And I just try to tell people, turn on the two-factor authentication. That's my public service announcement for this week.
This is like the other day I told you, I got the text message and phone calls from PayPal, supposedly PayPal, and it wasn't even a real person. And they wanted me to send them this code. That they kept sending me this code.
You sent it right away, right?
Oh, I sent it right away, absolutely. And for some reason, I don't know why, but all my money in my PayPal account was gone. So
what did you send? I have a photo of my social, like in my phone. I just text that too.
You just text that too, man? Dude. Might as well go ahead and send them your bank routing number too. You know what I'm saying?
Right. We're just kidding, everyone. Listen, be diligent. Mike, I can't thank you guys enough for watching and or listening. Please, if you can, tap on the hashtag Eastbound Getdown on Instagram or EBGD 2024. If you click on those, hit follow. So all of these posts that we're going to be making this weekend, you'll see them kind of curated extra into your feed. There's going to be a lot of cool stuff there. Thad is coming all the way from Pennsylvania again. But Mike, I also want to thank Daniel Smith. I know he has stepped up with Smithworks. Gooch is coming from Oklahoma. So if you start going 10, 11, 12 states, I mean, I'm proud of what this team's put together. I'm not even a part of it. Mike always says I am. I just like to give Mike a hard time. And I can tell you this, it's going to be a good weekend. It's going to be high 60s, low 70s. All this whole chill down stuff, it was all a gimmick. We're eastbound and sunshine and down in this weekend, dog. You know what I'm saying?
Hey, that's what I'm hoping for. And I definitely want to, give a shout out to, of course, Big Jeff Audio for is our title sponsor. Eastbound Getdown is powered by AccuWear air suspension. They're going to be there. Lowrider Depot's coming all the way from Mass. So Nick's going to be there. Stingray Chevrolet, once again, sponsoring and supporting us. They're our stage sponsor. Rogue Car Audio is going to be there. As always, they're our stereo sponsor, title sponsor for our stereo portion. So guys, we got some great people coming out here. We got a lot of vendors this year. We got a lot of food vendors. So make sure you guys come out, support the vendors, come out, have a good time. And it's going to be it's going to be great. I can't wait.
All right. And before we wrap this segment up, I just want to let everybody know we're going to have Phil Rush on, and this is his truck. So if you happen to be watching this on YouTube right now, Costly Obsession, September 97 cover truck. Stick with us to the end. Again, I'm going to share with you guys and ladies how many Toyota trucks have graced the cover, including what number in that total Phil's was. So with that being said, Mike, I hope that you guys have a great weekend. We'll see you, and go Pack Go. I know you want your Bucks to win. Stay on the rise, everyone.
Hey, stay low, and see y'all this weekend at Eastbound Getdown, Ormond Beach, Florida, Destination Daytona. Be there. See ya. See you Friday, starting at 10 a.m.
Hey, it's ODB. And before we roll into the interview with Phil Rush, I wanted to remind everyone, after you listen to this via your favorite podcast app, please go out on our YouTube channel, click subscribe. There is an opportunity to become a member, and you will find in 2024, the members will get additional benefits via YouTube, including ad-free audio and early access to some of our interviews as we go through 2024. I also want to thank Southeast Mini Truckin Nationals. If you're watching this on YouTube right now, you see on the screen, it is April 29th through the 21st of 2024. It's presented by Airlift Performance, and we can't thank Jason Bell and team enough for their continued contributions. This truck show started back in 1990. It's, of course, changed hands a couple times as well, and we certainly appreciate the partnership. In addition, there is one additional thing that I wanted to mention. I know LMC from Lowest Common Denominator Podcast, also known as LCD Podcast, he shared this with me, and I will tell you that I saw Shannon Bullis share it as well. The lady that was behind Mini Nats, I think it was Charlie's wife, she has passed away. So I'll share a little bit more information on the next episode, but she really was a staple in our scene. And my understanding, again, in the past, LCD podcast has broken this down. LMC, which is Lee, he has also broken this down in the past. He knows a lot of that rich history from this area. But, of course, I think they went through the divorce. There ended up being 2 shows back in the day, for those that remember, and that led to the competing shows, I guess you would kind of say. But rest in peace to her. Again, we will share more information. I would jump over right now and show you some of what was shared, but I'm actually, you know what? Let me do that really quick, and then we'll get into the interview. I'll jump over on my Facebook. I didn't have it prepared, so here you go. As we wrap up the segment, Sandra Thacker. She was 73 years old, and she passed away on Sunday, January 7th, 2024. So rest in peace to her. Again, thanks to Jason Bell. We'll be at Mini Nats. We do know that the admissions are sold out, right? The registrations, if you will, but you could still come out. It's free to cruise. You can spectate. There's going to be tons of awesome merch via Mini Truckin Nats and the Mini Trucker Union, right? That's the same brand. So go show them some love. Without further ado, enough talking ODB. Let's roll into Phil Rush's audio. Again, if you're on the road listening to this, certainly go back and view it via YouTube as well, because you're going to get a great visual of some of the stuff. And something we share with Phil that he did not know that happened 20 years ago this month as it relates to his truck that went to Japan. With that being said, I am ODB. We are here. Peace. Hey, as I stated just a moment ago, super excited to sit down with our next guest. And we're doing, as I said, in 2024, more of the video content here on YouTube. But we've got Phil Rush. Phil, thank you so much for taking the time.
No problem. I love to do it.
Hey, so I got to ask you this. Share a little bit about yourself, kind of maybe where you grew up, and then we'll move into some of the questions around our favorite topic, mini trucks.
Well, I was born and raised in Southern California. So I grew up in the 50s. That's when I was born, and the 60s. And basically, I lived in the same house from age 5 to age, I'd say 19, when my
Okay.
mom still let me live at home because I was going to college. And that was one of her rules. You can't stay here unless you're going to school. So I'm was raised by a single mother, and my hat's off to her. May she rest in peace. And my dad was a great guy too. So, and he's rest in peace too. They're both passed quite a while ago. Quite a while ago. Can't even talk. Yeah. I was born in 51. My mom was 40. My dad was 48, but they didn't look their age, thank God, because I think I've inherited that because I'm 72 now.
Wow.
And
Well, congrats. You don't look 72.
people tell me, because I guess it's semi clean living. Um, Never did drugs, never smoked, but I used to drink, but I gave it up.
Yep.
And I spent basically all my life in Southern California until I was 68, 69. And my wife and I got a bug, and she decided she wanted to retire. And I said, well, we can't afford to live in California if you're going to retire, because I was working for a Mercedes-Benz dealer at the time. I've gone
Got
through a
it.
lot. I think in an earlier talk, I went through a lot of evolutions. I mean, 30
Sure.
years in the computer business and worked my way up to the top and all that. And then because of an unfortunate car accident, my life kind of took a left turn, but has actually turned out to be good. While I was recovering, I turned my hobby into a business, which then became Relaxed Customs. And what led me into all that was my hobby, which was my wife used to say, Phil can't keep his hands off of any vehicle. He has to customize everything he owns. And I
Mm-hmm.
think I've owned probably over 40 vehicles in my life. But
Wow.
in everything I've ever owned has always been me customizing it.
Oh,
And how
yeah.
I got involved in if you want to ask me another question, how I got involved in mini trucking, that's a interesting story there too.
Yeah, I want to talk about that, but here's where I'm intrigued. So you go back to the era that you were born in, and it's unique because with you having your mini truck ties, I want to kind of know, like, we hear so much about the southern mini truck, or the southern culture in general, the car culture.
Oh yeah,
And I had
yeah.
Damian Fulton on, who did if you ever read any of the BMX magazines, he had Radical Rick. He did the character, and
Oh,
he
my
lived.
sons did. They
Yeah,
were major BMX people before they came motocross guys. So
yeah. When you think back to the era with the music, the Beach Boys, the surfboards, the Woodies, all of
mhm.
that, do you have fond memories of that
Surfer,
era?
ex-surfer, that's me.
There you.
Blonde
That's what I'm
hair,
getting at.
blonde hair, and yeah, it kind of went along with the tan and all the guys that I grew up with. It was kind of cool. My era was nice because I was able to go to grammar school, junior high. Well, they call it junior high then. Now it's middle school.
Right.
High school with the guys that I grew up with. And the only time we parted company was when we went to college. They all went to different schools or went in the military or whatever. And my first car was a 1955 Chevy Bel Air. I sent you pictures of it. Well,
Yep.
some of the pictures.
Yeah, and I want to show people, because here's one of the
Yeah.
things that we can do, and this is why we want to get more into this content. It was a 55, right?
Yeah, it was a 55 Chevy Bel Air. I was lucky because it didn't have the window posts. I helped a neighbor across the street. His name was Bill. He was 3 years older than I was. So from age 15, I started helping. He asked me to come over and help him, do something. And then after that, I kind of caught the bug, and I started helping him build the car. And
Got
basically, it
it.
was when he had it, first had it, it was a piece of crap. And then so he used to drag me to junkyards back in the day when they would say, okay, go back there. There might be some parts you want. And you walk back with your toolbox, standing in, ankle deep mud or whatever, and
Uh-huh.
taking parts off of old cars to put them on the 55. So we rebuilt the motor. He taught me probably most of what I knew about cars. He taught me all about engines, tearing them apart, rebuilding them. And I was just his gopher in his garage. He'll
Got
go
it.
get me this wrench, go get me that wrench, because that's how I learned what a spanner wrench was, what a pickle fork was, the difference between a flathead and a Phillips head screwdriver. I mean, I learned all of this stuff from him.
Now,
And
is
he
this?
tore this.
I want to ask
Go
you
ahead.
this: was this like kind of before or after the era of like when American Graffiti came out?
That was before, because that was in the 60s.
Got it.
And it was like I was 15, so I was like 65,
Got it.
66. And that was the Surfer, Beach Boys, Dick Dale and the Deltones and all of that stuff.
Yes.
And I was also a drummer too. So I would play, this all kinds of music. I used to, another thing too is in my neighborhood, there was 2 bands. And one across the street, I used to sub when their drummer wouldn't show up. I was only 14 or 15, and I would sit in when they became the Iron Butterfly, if anybody knows who they are. And I got a DeVita, and they did all that. So I used to sit in this garage band.
Oh, yeah.
And sub when their drummer wouldn't show up. And then I had another band around the corner that was all surfer music, and I used to sit in for them. It was kind of fun. So I had a very interesting life. Didn't come from parents who had very much money, and so I had to work from age 10. I was a paper boy. Then I learned how to do concrete, and I was a hod carrier. Well, people know what a hod carrier is. It's the guy who carries all the stuff for the guys that are laying the bricks. So I was doing that. I was age 12 doing that. So it's like I grew up in kind of you'd say a rough time, but for me it was fun. And so when my buddy across the street became 18, of course, he was fair game for the selective service when they had that for Vietnam. He got drafted, and he came across the street and said to my mom, "I don't want my car sitting at the base. I want to sell it to Phil." So I'm in my bedroom going, "Oh, please say yes." Because I'm like 16, 17 years old going, "Yeah." So yeah, I bought that car for $500.
Wow.
And they did paint and body work and all kinds of. We did all the mechanical, so it actually ran. Yeah, I bought it, and then I started working on it in my mom's garage and driveway and doing the body work and the interior, because the interior was nasty. When I got done with it, it was beautiful. I mean, I went to a junkyard, got bucket seats out of some car. I don't remember what it was. Painted them with that vinyl paint that you can paint stuff with, and yeah, did the whole interior, did the body work. Then I took it to a paint shop, had it painted. That's the picture that you saw.
Oh yeah,
that was the bug. That planted the seed.
Yeah, one of my dad and I, our favorite artists was Tom Petty, "Running Down a Dream" is one of my favorite songs, and I love at the beginning of the song when he says it was a beautiful day, the sun beat down. I had the radio on, I was driving. Trees went by, me and Del were singing Little Runaway, and of course that's Del Shannon. But that, of course, reminds me, of course, I didn't grow up in Southern California, but when I think back to the car culture and some of the things you're describing, jumping on the surfboard, ladies and all of that era, it just was pretty cool. And then, oh, by the way, a lot of the cruise spots and stuff. Do you have any memories of going down to those spots?
Van Nuys Boulevard was a big cruise night on Friday night. And because I had my car, my 55 Chevy, my next door neighbor, Rick Wilkins, who I grew up with, who still is my best friend today, he had a 56, and he painted it the same color as my car. I was like, well, that's a compliment. Then my buddy across the street, Tim Bertram, he had a 57. And we used to, sneak out on Friday nights, and somebody'd buy us beer and we go to a park. And they said, "We should start a car club." And I said, "Yeah, I got a great name. Basic Boozers." It was like, they're like, "What?" I said, "Well, we're kind of basic guys and we like to drink beer." So we actually had a stencil made up for our windows, and we're going to high school to see the high school. And yeah, it was kind of cool. I remember they were Catholic, I was Protestant, and they were strict Catholic. They went to Catholic school up until high school. So then we all ended up going to high school together. So we'd go in the parking lot and we'd pull in. I'd be my 55. Rick is next to me in the 56, and Tim's next to him in his 57. Yeah, it was kind of cool. And then we had another friend.
That's the era.
That we grew up with. Um, uh, sorry, his first name was Tim Bowden, and he was really big into because I did all the shops. He did all the auto shop and metal
Sure.
shop and wood shop, and he had a '57 Nomad that he built with a 409, and it was like scary loud. I mean, he used to come down our street. My mom used to shake the windows, and she'd go, "What the heck is that?" I'm like, "Oh, that's just Tim."
Yeah,
And
that's his call.
yeah, and he ended up going to Vietnam, but fortunately he survived. But he came back, and I think he probably had Agent Orange because he died of cancer a couple of years ago. And
Yeah, well,
and
rest
it's
in
kind
peace
of
to your friend. And I
yeah,
know, for for his service. I believe you told me prior your father was also in the service.
yeah,
So rest in peace and thanks for his
yeah.
service.
And when I
Now,
was in the computer business, half of my career was aerospace, defense. So a lot of my background is what we call black, where I had, top secret clearance. I had the highest clearance that a civilian can get. So I worked with the military, the Pentagon. I was very fortunate in my career. I was all over the world. It was kind of cool. And there's a lot of stuff. I worked for three-letter acronym agencies that have an
right.
I in the middle, CIA, DIA, and I worked for the FBI. I did a lot of really cool stuff. So that was my way because unfortunately I had an accident when I was a kid and cut off some fingers. And when I went to the selective service board meeting, when you're 18, you have to go check in back then.
Okay.
And Rick and I went together and he's like, "Oh, you're A." And he looks at me and he looks me up and down. And then he looks at my hand and he goes, "Oh, sorry, son, you're 4F." I was like, "What? What do you mean a 4F?" He goes, "Yeah, you got two fingers missing, half of them." I'm like, "Crap." I mean, I wanted to join. Didn't want the army to have me. I was going to be a Marine, but that didn't
Wow.
happen. And
Yeah, well,
so,
you tried.
yeah. So maybe that was God just trying to save me because Rick got a education deferment because he was like an A student and all this kind of crap. And Tim got the same thing. I'm like, yeah, I'm 4F. Yippee for me.
Right, right.
But
I want to do a shout out to there's a book and I haven't purchased it yet. Rick McCloskey. He did a book. I don't know if it was about a year ago. It seemed like it's called Van Nuys Boulevard, 1972, and that summer
oh,
he took a bunch of photos. And you probably crossed paths with that guy at some point.
I probably raced him.
Yeah,
Because
you're probably
we used to
some
go
of the
have races, not on Van Nuys, because that was not, you didn't do that. I
yeah.
mean, we
Got it.
pull up into Bob's Big Boy and guys look at your cars. Hey, you want to race? I'm like, yeah, sure. And we go down to this street called Topham, and it was right parallel to the railroad tracks. And yeah,
Light
that's
them
where
up.
we'd race. Cops wouldn't
Light
even
them up.
bust us. It was amazing. They would leave us alone. Back then, they
Oh yeah.
just would leave you alone. Yeah. But
We're talking with
those are good times going down Van Nuys Boulevard.
Oh yeah, we're talking with Phil Rush now. This is the mini truck tie-in piece because we want to talk about his truck. For those that don't know, we're going to get into this in just a moment. Phil's truck graced the cover of September '96, issue 57 in Mini Truckin'. But you kind of hinted there, and I want to ask you this before we get to the truck, Phil. Talk to us a little bit about, I understand that you were into models in terms of the little models, and
Oh yeah, when I was
obviously
a
you
kid.
talked about some of the car connection. But at what point, in the 90s or 80s, do you get bit by this mini truck bug? Are you seeing the guys driving the trucks after the crazy
Well,
gas stuff in the 70s?
yeah, it was like not the paint job so much, but the mini trucking thing. And my younger son, well, at the time, Jason was 17, 16. And he says, "Hey, because he was, even though all my kids, they started out in hoopties because I said, and we had rules in my house. If you were an A student, I would buy the car, pay for your gas, pay for your insurance. If you're a B student, you're buying your own car, I'll pay for the gas and the insurance. And if you're a
Right, and
C
so on.
student, I'll pay for your gas." Well, all my kids were A and B students, so maybe that was a motivator. But anyway, he came to me, Dad. He goes, because this is after he wrecked his hoopty, which we had customized. It was really nice, and then he Then he rolled it. Well,
Mm.
so he says, yeah, my grades are really good, and I like to get this Toyota truck. I'm like, okay. Yeah, your mom had a Toyota and it was really good. Like, I'm like the old guy, the dad, I'm like 30, I don't know, 5 or something like that. So we go to this local dealer and I knew the guy, I knew the dealership and things. So he sees this truck and it was a red extra cab, just regular Toyota truck. So he's driving it to high school and all this kind of stuff. And he liked to hit shit with it. He either somebody would hit him or he'd rear end somebody. And after the second one, I said, okay, you're going to go back into a hoopty. I'm taking the truck away from you.
Oh, okay. I see where this is going.
And then I decided, I need a project. So I'm going to take this truck and I'm going to do something crazy with it. So I took the engine apart and I polished all the stuff and I did, the wire loom wrapping and all this stuff and I lowered it and I put a shell on the back and then I went to this car show. I'd never been to a car show as a participant in
Okay.
Ventura, and what the hell, So I entered it, and I won. And my wife's sitting there going, "Oh no, now it's gonna start."
Snowball.
She's like, "Oh my God, now he's gonna go crazy because I won."
She knows you well, Phil.
Well, yeah. And so I won $200 and a big trophy. And then I got approached by these young people. Like there was a group of 5 or 6 guys and gals. And they're like, we really like your truck. And have you ever thought about joining a truck club? I'm like, yeah, I was in a club when I was 17. And I'm like almost
at this
40
point,
years old. And
got
we're
it.
talking and they went, yeah, we'd really like you to join our club. And I'm like, okay, we're having a meeting this Friday, whatever it calls Junior local one. I said, yeah, okay. What's the name of the club? And he goes, oh, Art of Noise. I'm like, okay. So I go there and I'm like everybody's dad's age. I mean, like these are like 17, 18-year-olds, and I'm 39. And
But they accepted you.
oh yeah, yeah, because they saw what I could do. They didn't really care
Sure.
about me. They saw the truck and they're like, that's your truck? But you're like old. Like, oh,
You're like, I took it
old.
from my son, damn it.
Yeah, I still told him, I said, yeah. So I was riding this is before it was in the show, or actually this was after it was in the show. I'm riding with my daughter, who at that time was like maybe 11, and she's sitting in the passenger seat, and I'm in my seat, and I picked her up from school or something, or we went to the market or something, and we're driving back home, and this drunk, sorry, SOB we're at a red light and he comes up and smashes right into the back of the truck. I'm like, you son of a bitch. Then he takes off. I'm like, oh, that's the wrong thing to do to me because I'm like a type A in your face. I'll throw down with you any day.
You're coming
guy.
after.
I chased him. And he went into this messed up neighborhood. And I'm not going to get racial, but
sure,
it's fine. Anyway, so he was drunk on his ass. He pulls over. I go over to him. His front end's all smashed in of his truck, but it could still drive. And I'm saying, roll down your window. Roll down your window. No, obvious English. Roll down your window. So finally he rolls down his window a little bit. And I said, you need to get out of the car. I need your driver's license and your insurance. Of course, no insurance. I find out later. So my 11-year-old daughter's sitting in the truck, petrified because I had chased this guy. I mean, I completely forgot she was sitting there. I was so mad. He rolls his window down. I grab him by the shirt and I pull him out of the truck. This is when I was younger and in really good shape. And I threw him up against the truck and I said, you're drunk. So I got on the phone. I called my buddy who was a cop. And he says, Phil, you need to leave. You're in a really bad neighborhood. You need to leave. We're on our way. I'm like, okay, fine. So I cool down. I get back in the truck. And then I realize my daughter's there staring at me like, you're crazy.
Wide-eyed.
you saw what I did to this guy. And I'm like, oh, crap. So anyway, so that's what ended up, I got the truck fixed and I ended up giving it the name Hexed Toy because it'd been hit on the side, hit on the front, hit on the back. So I said, this truck is hexed. I went, that's the name.
Yeah, and I'll pull some photos of it because
Yeah.
we didn't have them handy, but it went on to be featured, I think, in Truckin' in the 90s.
Yeah. It was Truckin'. And that was the first time I was approached by a photographer and he says, yeah, I want to take a photo shoot. And I'm like, okay. He says, yeah, when the show's over, this is when we were I think we were in Arizona. And it was at one of those 3-day truck run things I went to. I went by myself.
Like Spring Splash or something, yeah.
Yeah, it was Spring Splash, yeah. And so we're taking pictures and everything. He goes, yeah, it's going to be in a magazine in about 3 months or whatever. I'm like, oh, cool, So he writes a really nice article about it. And I feel really bad because I can't remember his last name, but his first name was Corey. And
you believe he may have passed away?
Yeah, he passed away I think about a year ago. I saw something on Instagram. So that really bothered me because he had done a few of my photo shoots of different vehicles I'd done. But then, then I looked at the truck and I thought, I keep winning and it's just in the modified. And I like challenges. So I said, I don't really feel challenged. So I would see all these other trucks that were just crazy, because there was another category called wild. And I said, I'm not even going to do extreme. I'm just going to do screw it. I'm going to go all the way.
Leapfrog to the next one.
Oh, yeah. So then I just took that same truck and completely just disassembled it, and took it apart. And that's when I met.
That's when it becomes this Costly Obsession.
Yeah, it becomes that. Eventually that. There's a lot of people helped me build it. My older boy, Brian, he actually was working for Mike Cox, who may he rest in peace.
Yep.
And that's when I met Mike because my son was working for him in his auto sound and security in Agoura, California. And so I rolled in there with a truck and I said, and they saw it because by then I had another friend of mine, Brian Genro, who was in not San Diego.
Negative. He was in Escondido.
Escondido. So I met him through another friend. And what he had done for me previously, so I knew Brian, is my son Brian had a mini truck when he was going to school in Arizona. And he got into kind of a situation. And I ended up having to take it out of the impound yard. And I said, you know what? You're hanging around the wrong people and you need to focus on school. So I brought him a motorcycle. And I said, I'm taking the truck back. So on my way back, Brian knew I was coming. I said, I've dropped off his truck with Brian. And I said, I want you to take off this cheesy ass ground effects kit. And I want you to bag it. And I'm going to turn it into a show truck again. The only thing we saved on it was he had this weird paint job on it. And I said, I want it all black because there was an airbrush of Bob Marley on the hood. And I'll send you pictures.
Okay.
And so then it went into the show and it won. I'm like, okay, great. I didn't even mean to win. And so then I get home and I get all these guys that want to buy it. And I said, fine, you can have it. So I sold it. So I needed money for Costly Obsession. I mean, I needed money because I owed Brian a lot of money for, bagging it and all this kind of crazy stuff. He shaved the door handles and things. And so then I met, I had a painter who had painted all my stuff. And my son, Jason, is an artist, sat down with me and we created the paint job on paper. And I took it to my painter. I said, can you do this? He says, oh yeah, I've been wanting to do something like this for a long time. So I trusted him and I said, I don't want you painting the shell. I don't want that because eventually I may want to take the shell off.
Yep.
And so my son Brian and Mike Cox did the whole interior. They did the back and the bed. They put in this crazy Sherwin Vega dual 12s in a box with this weird sound chamber. That's when I started learning a lot about stereo systems and stuff. And they see the bed. and all that. My son Brian did all that sculptured work. And then I had another friend of mine who was an upholsterer. And of course, I went and bought bucket seats out of a wrecked car. And I had him do, the bucket seats. They came out of, I think, a Corvette. And I had him stitch it all up. In the back, there was no back seat. We turned that into just a stereo.
Yep.
And that was
because
really
it was
cool.
basically what they call a walk. It was a walkthrough, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Basically, in the back, we had a TV. Everybody, because that was back before anybody really did TVs.
Sure.
I got this portable color TV that you could slide a VHS into.
Right.
We're going to go back that far. And I had to put in a 12 volt, to 100 to 110 volt converter. And we built this box that held the TV there. I don't think there's any pictures of that, but we'd be at shows, and because of the sound system was just killer. I haven't had an SPL sound offs in a couple of shows, and it actually won one, which is kind of crazy because I never thought it would win. And we dropped the tailgate, lift up the back of the shell. We were inside of one of these shows in one of these halls, and we put in Terminator, has got a crazy sound system or soundtrack.
Sure.
And we're playing the movie, and people are coming by, and they're like, "Oh, can we sit down and watch this?" Like, I don't care.
Right.
Sure.
That was like before, like home.
So people were sitting in these little, mini like lawn chairs, and I'm like, yeah, whatever. I don't have popcorn or drinks, so you just watch the movie. Yeah, those are the kind of memories that you don't forget.
Sure.
It was really cool.
Yeah,
and
that was
photo shoot. Yeah, the photo shoot was very memorable. So.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you about that because, like, what we see here, right? So, to your point, we see the professional auto sound and security windshield banner, which again,
that was Mike Cox's business. Yeah, so I let him put that on there. Yeah,
amazing. And then you've got the
even though I
Vegas.
belonged to Relaxed Atmosphere, I eventually went over to Relaxed Atmosphere. I left Art of Noise. So
yeah, and that's another question I have for you too. But when we look at I know the truck was in Relax when it got shot here, but do you remember, was it in, what was the city you had to go to? Do you remember? Was it planned?
Oh, for the photo shoot?
Yeah.
Jesus, I know it was in Los Angeles somewhere.
Somewhere, yeah. They used to have their headquarters.
It was a studio, and it was really nice. They had this huge white backdrop, and the floor was like this really nice gray. And then Tiffany Richardson, I think, was the model. Really liked her. She's a nice gal. Of course, not bad to look at either. She's on the cover.
Oh yeah,
just awesome gal. Very nice. I've had different experiences with different models on different photo shoots, and you meet some that are really nice, and you meet some that are really, they're just into themselves, and that's fine.
Oh yeah.
You just don't talk to them.
Right. Yeah. And we could, just so everybody knows the table of contents here, I wanted to show you guys this. It basically reinforces Phil had the 92 extra cab. Of course, it's on the cover of September 96, which was really a golden era, that mid 90s period.
Oh,
now,
yeah.
When they basically say, hey, we're going to shoot your truck, right? You pretty much knew because you were going to a studio indoor session and stuff. Did Shartsis, who was kind of running the ship at the time, did he pretty much give you the nudge and go, hey man, it's going on the cover?
At the time he said it was cover worthy.
Got it.
So I didn't want, I don't think he wanted to set my expectations too high. Yep. But when he sent me, snaps of it or samples of it, I was like, holy crap, I've made it.
Yeah. Now in that era, the younger folks that are listening or watching this, thank you so much. Watch till the end if you can. We got a lot more to talk about. They may not realize, even me, I remember the excitement going to the mailbox. And of course you can still get magazines, not as many as used to be. But do you remember, like, did you catch wind? Did Shartsis eventually tell you, hey, it's going to be on the cover? Or did you have to wait till you went to the mailbox that day?
No, he told me.
Okay.
And he said, if you want to come on down, I've set 10 issues aside for you. So,
oh, nice.
So I drove down to the publication business, which I think was in Orange County or something.
Yeah.
Well, I don't care. I'll drive to wherever. And I've got a, shrink backpack like that, 10 of them, and eventually had a big, there was another company that would contact you and say, hey, we do
The
uh,
plaques.
the plaques, and are you interested? I'm like, oh yeah, it's only cost this much, but I don't care. I mean, it was a couple $100, but I didn't care.
Yeah, you're
And
like,
that,
hey,
yeah, yeah. I mean,
yeah,
Hex Toy. Well, I already knew about him because Hex Toy was on a plaque,
yeah.
and then this was on a plaque, and then I had several after that between my son and I, my older boy Brian, who did several vehicles, who had photo shoots as well. Yeah, that was fun because in our shop, Relaxed Customs, which is just kind of interesting, the heritage of the name came from belonging to Relaxed Atmosphere. So it was kind of an
I
homage
figured.
to my buddies in Relaxed. I really liked the name, so I sort of borrowed it.
Right, right.
And yeah, it became, and it became really cool because it did a lot of work for a lot of different, God, all kinds
People.
of different levels of, just anybody coming in with a mini truck all the way up to guys coming in and they wanted us to lift their trucks, and that's big, huge Dodge or Ford or Chevy trucks. And we do all of that too. I mean, we did pretty much, ours was like a one-stop shop. That's what I used to say is like, you will never see anybody else. I have subcontractors that work with me,
Sure.
but we're responsible completely for your vehicle. And I remember I used to give people quotes, especially when we started getting into Sprinter vans and doing limos, and I can send you pictures of that stuff too if you're interested. We had a lot of very famous street bike racer guys coming in, and we had to build vans for them because they had to transport their street bikes to the races, and they wanted to be able to sleep in the van. So we got real creative with creating, living spaces, as you call it.
Yep,
And then
got
we
it.
ended up doing. I'm sorry, am I
No, I said
yakking too
no. I
much?
said no, no, no. I understand.
Yeah. So then we ended up doing Sprinter vans, and that was crazy. So, but
Yeah,
that
that
was
is cool.
great, But we ended up building them for just, I call it John and Mary level, or then all of a sudden we started building things for the county, the state, the federal government. It was really interesting work we used to do. So
Oh yeah, it's pretty cool. We're talking with Phil Rush again. His truck was on the cover of Mini Truckin Magazine. What I want to ask you now is you hinted at so Art of Noise to you transition to Relaxed, right?
yeah, relaxed
91
atmosphere.
Sharpsis and different folks get together. Was it you hinted that there was that connection? Was it the brotherhood that you had with some of your buddies that said, hey, Phil, just come on over and join us here?
Yeah, I mean, I really like them because I'm unfortunately type A and a very judgmental guy. And when I met these young people at the first Art of Noise meeting, I really liked them because they were down to earth. They weren't into drugs. I mean, yeah, they drank, but that's okay.
Sure.
They wanted to have fun, but they didn't do, what I say is questionable practices. They were great young people and they had their lives and they worked hard. And then their lives were these mini trucks. I mean, they ate, slept, and breathed these things. And basically, I got into that too. I became known as Dad. That was my nickname. They gave me the nickname Dad because I was like the same age as their dad. And we used to go to truck shows together. We used to go to Havasu for the truck runs, and they got me involved in that. And there's just a funny side because I don't know if you want to know. There's a interesting, memorable story
Okay.
about the second time I went, and that's when we would truck or trailer. That's when I was trailering the Trailer Queen. Uh, Costly Obsession because she evolved from Hex Toy to that, and that was a very expensive endeavor. I didn't want anybody running into it. I don't care if you run into the trailer, but don't run into my truck. Um, so my in-laws had a motor home, and my wife decided she wanted to come along. So she had met all these young people at a truck club meeting, and they really liked her, and she liked them because she saw what kind of young people they were, because they're the same age as my son Brian um, and my son Jason. So she said, "Yeah, I want to go, and let's take the motor home." I'm like, "Okay, you sure?" She goes, "Yeah." So then she earned the nickname Mom because she used to mother these kids. Oh my God. She'd cook for them. She'd take care of them. She would repair their wounds, and I still remember the night before the show. Of course, they're all doing their truck run crazy stuff and, shrink wrapping a guy around a tree and drinking beer and getting drunk and all this stuff. And I used to say, remember, we have to get up at 5 a.m., because rolling is like 6:30. Oh, yeah, no problem. Blah, blah, blah. So I'm sleeping outside with them in, sleeping bags because it's figured I got to get up early. And I wake up before everybody else does. And you couldn't hear anything except other people getting ready. I'm like, are you kidding me? There's like 10 of these guys. I'm number 10. And I'm like, they're not getting up. They're not waking up. So I go grab a spoon, a metal spoon that my wife had, big, huge dipper thing, and a big metal pan. And I go around, bang, 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 right next to these young people in the sleeping bags. You should have seen people getting out of sleeping bags so fast in your life. I'm like, reveille, dude, get up, bang, bang, bang. And I said, and I kicked the chair and I said, we got to get going. And I said, my truck's already ready, so, I never saw anybody get dressed. Well, they were already dressed. It was like
Sure.
a comedy show. If you could have filmed it, you would have laughed your ass off watching these people falling out. One guy got out of the sleeping bag. He was trying to walk in the sleeping bag. He fell on the ground and it was comical. And he finally got his truck ready and we all rolled in. And then you spend the day trying to recover. And you're walking around in 109, 110 degree temperature and you're tired. And it's like, and these guys had hangovers like you can't believe. And it was fun, and it was really fun. There was a lot of memorable things.
When I look at
a lot of friends today that I still know that are obviously older, that did all that crazy stuff at shows. I'm always the kind of guy that used to, I remember this one fight my friend Eric Scarlett got into. He was really high strung. He's like 10 times worse than me and a lot younger. And somebody
I think I've heard that name before.
Yeah, he's very, very well known. He does metal work now. He builds American flags. He's on Facebook. And you can find him. Yeah. He was always a very creative guy. And I still remember, he had hair down to here and he was ex-Navy SEAL. So he was really, and somebody kicked dirt on his truck or something like that. And I'm watching this and he goes over and tackles this guy, starts beating the shit out of him. And I had to go over there and grab him and get him off of him. And I'm like, what the hell are you doing? And he kind of looks at me and goes, okay, I'm sorry, Phil. And everything then went back to normal. I'm like,
see, you were a good influence.
Do that, Eric.
You were a good influence
after the show. Yeah,
now,
I tried. Yeah.
What did they end up nicknaming you?
He almost punched me. But then when he saw who I was, he was like, oh, okay. He was like ready to oh, okay, it's you. Like, yeah, you need to chill out. You need to stop.
What did they end up nicknaming you? What did they end up nicknaming you, Phil?
Dad. They nicknamed me Dad. That was my nickname at the shows. They'd say, hey, Dad, like, hey, how you doing? Like, it's Pops. It was either Pops or Dad. So,
that's cool. Now, so you kind of hinted at it there. So basically, it sounds like, you had a lot of friends in relaxed atmosphere. So it was no hard feelings against Noise. It just was a natural progression for you.
They understood it was just a much bigger, almost nationwide club. And I wanted to be part of something much bigger.
Sure.
So that's what I did.
Yeah, no hard feelings. Exactly.
And it was fun because I used to run into them at SEMA and we'd always talk to each other and, hey, there's Phil. And like, oh, there's Brian. There's, whatever. And we'd yell at each other. And it's funny now because I still keep up with a few of them on Instagram because they post on Instagram all the time. So I see what their trucks are and stuff. It's fun. Yeah.
Well, let me ask you this. So when you think about the transition that you made to the other club, right? And then your truck gets shot, which I want to go back to it real quick. What we'll do is when you look at this truck, how timeless it was in the mid 90s, right? You've got the tweed
Oh, yeah.
interior, full stereo, graphics, extra cab, topper, fully detailed engine bay, like you said, with a lot of the loom and the things that were like super popular then.
Oh yeah, all the
CD
polished
changer.
aluminum and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, you had all of this. So when you eventually see it on the cover, right? Shark just gives you the heads up. You get your free copies. And did you at that point? Because we saw it like at for instance, it was at Spring Splash '96. We have the video of it, right?
Yeah.
Did you at that point? Did you feel like you plateaued off, and you're like, hey, I still want to take it to shows, but was it not as fun? Like, what was the vibe?
No, it was always fun. I wanted to. It was like a drug. I guess I can say it was like an addiction. That's my wife. My wife used to accuse me of being addicted. Any opportunity I had to go to a show, that truck went, but it was always towed, obviously because I didn't want something to happen to it. I mean, it was roadworthy. You could drive it all day long on the freeway, whatever. I just didn't want to take a chance of it getting damaged. And I kept going to shows, and I remember I was at a Cal Truck Jamboree in Costa Mesa, and this guy walks up to me, and he's Oriental guy, and he says, "Hey, have you ever thought about selling it?" And I'm like, "Well, yeah, kind of."
Yeah.
Because I was at the point where I wanted to jump off and do something else. I needed seed money to start doing other stuff.
Yep.
And I said, he goes, "Well, what do you want for it?" And I said, $19,000. And he went, "Okay." Like, God, I should ask for more.
Yeah.
And so one thing led to the other. He contacted me. I said, "Well, I don't trust people, so you need to wire me the money." So he wired the money. And he gave me instructions. I go, "Okay, you need to go down to San Pedro at, pier number whatever, and blah, 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 blah. And we're going to take care of all the shipping." So that's what we did. We trailered it down to San Pedro, and it went into this area. And then they just took the truck and it went on a ship and it went to Japan.
Now,
and that's the last I heard of it until you showed me that it ended up on the cover of a magazine in Japan.
Yeah, we want to talk about that because
with some minor modifications, and it's like, that's my truck.
Yeah, because real time as we're getting this, we're getting updates from Japan. One of my severed brothers who works at that magazine, he of course pulled the issue because I do not have it, unfortunately. But from what you had told me, you kind of recall this being around 2000 because you seem to recall going to Truck Jam that year.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Very, very cool.
It was fun. I'd never done that. I've seen people, I didn't have a for sale sign in it or anything. The guy just walked up to me. I had people ask me that before, and I said, no way. I'm not selling it. And I was at that point where I wanted to start building another truck or two. And I needed the money. So so I know it ended. The thing that makes me feel good is it didn't end up in some junkyard somewhere.
Right.
Somebody actually bought it, loved it enough. They did some minor things to it, and obviously it was on the cover of a truck in Japan, on a magazine in Japan. That was really cool. I didn't even know that until you sent me that recent information. But it made me feel really good. I mean, we're talking 30 years later. It's great.
That's one of the reasons why I love doing the podcast, Phil, because I've tried to curate this information because, like, over the years, I mean, there's we had somebody on last year talking about Steel Flame that got made into a Hot Wheels. And, we were able to then, get him to send us, it was in an obscure magazine in another country. Right. So the thing that I love about it is, like, even 20 years later, we're able to kind of uncover something and go, like in your case, you as the owner, like, hey, you had a cool journey with it. You sold it. And then, hey, it ended up making its way to another continent. And, oh, by the way, it was on a cover of another magazine.
Yeah. Well,
now,
that paint job was sort of like a trendsetter.
Yeah.
Because we weren't like the only one that did something crazy with their paint.
Right.
But I wanted to do something just super crazy, and that's what it ended up being. And it ended up being almost like it was tribal. People used to call it tribal. It ended up being like a trendsetter because I remember when we went to a show like the next year, and my wife was with me, and she's walking around, and she sees a truck, and she says out loud within earshot, she goes, "They stole your paint job." I like, don't say that. I said, to me, it's a compliment
Yeah.
that they took that, did their own thing with it, but they did that same kind of theme.
Yeah.
And I said, so no, that's a compliment to me. When somebody
yeah.
copies you, it's always a compliment. It's not something negative. So
Oh, yeah.
I thought it was great. And sort of then, I started seeing all these wild and crazy paint jobs, and it made me feel good. So
now I do want to say this, because I got to thank Rick Bentley. Rick Bentley was our guest on episode 100. And Rick, if I remember correctly, I zoomed in on this earlier. Rick sent me this. I don't know if you remember our customs.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So Rick,
that's my plaque.
right. That's what I thought. And Rick,
Yeah.
I believe it says his name too. So he must have done something on the truck, because Rick was a good source, and he sent me this. And I want to thank Rick in case he hears this.
Okay.
And now here's a show. I showed this earlier, but I wanted people to see that in this era, and we still see it with our kinfolk like Eddie Gordy, that's just, tearing up the scene right now with what he's doing. But if you look at what's going on here, again, our friend Ruben Artiaga, who you may recall his name.
Ruben's a really good friend of mine. We keep up with each other on Instagram.
Yep. Ruben's a great guy. He's one of our teammates here. He helps us a lot. And Ruben spoke highly of you, and he goes, "Hey, make sure you bring up the Michael Cox connection." But if folks look here, this is what was going on in this era. This to me was, the height of, people taking the wheels off, full displays, full interior. The hood is off, it looks like.
I used to do that at shows because I wanted people to see all the hard work that we did on just not the paint job, but the undercarriage. I mean, the level of detail that we would do to clean it. And, I had those wheel mounts made by a friend of mine who had a company called Totally Polished.
Yeah.
And I don't remember his name, but chalking up to old age. But I came to him and I said, "This is what I want. Here's the lug pattern." And he made them, and that's just polished aluminum. It looks like it's chrome, but it's just polished aluminum.
Yep.
And you see the rear discs. I had those chromed. And then also the leaf springs. So I was kind of into a lot of that flashy stuff.
Sure.
And I used to roll out the carpet and have these little stanchions and do the whole thing.
And that's what
we went to. Yeah.
Some of the guys that taught me a lot of stuff when I first got in this, Chris and Rush, they had a lot of the photos from this era. And of course, looking back at the magazines and hearing the things they would talk about, it was basically a competition level. And you kind of have that to a certain extent. Like now we have our friend Eddie Gordy, as I mentioned, with his Mazda, he's going the world of wheels and he's racking up points nationally. Right. But in this era, it was like winner takes all in terms of, and that's where a lot of the competition came from. Last Look with Eric, rest in peace, Eric Coleman at the color shop. You had this competition level, was kind of like a gentleman's competition.
It was friendly.
And as you know, like when we had Brian Gendro on, one of Brian's good friends, Mike Collins, who we also had on, was Skybody. These guys talked about some of the things you're saying, Phil, where guys would go back to the lab, aka their garage, and they were looking to go to the next level before that next show.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Now,
we would always not try to outdo each other, but I was learning from other people.
Yep.
Yeah.
Now
I was learning what makes it win.
Yep.
And what gets people's attention. It was like the mirrors underneath and all that crazy stuff.
Yep. Now here is the 20. So this is another reason why I wanted to have you on this month. So thanks for bearing with us, because you've been on the list a while.
No problem.
This was 20 years ago this month. So January of 2004. So when I talk about the legacy of a truck, this truck, again, September 96, it's on the cover. 8 years later, it's on another cover in Japan, and not a lot of folks have seen this. I got to thank Makoto from Severed Japan. He has worked a very long time at Truck Trends, which is now Custom Trucks Mag. I call it CTM for short. This is the feature. So most people have never seen this. Now, I will tell you this.
I need that sent to me.
Yep. I'm going to send it to you. Now, check this out. Now, I meant to put this on its own slide. This ad here actually comes from a different magazine. So around circa 2000, around the time Phil sells it to that, or the importer exporter buys it, or however that transaction happened, this little ad here that I'll send to you as well if I didn't already. This was
you sent it to me.
A custom trucks mag, or it's called Boob Car, believe it or not, on the cover, but it translates to like custom car or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But this right here for the viewers, and I know it's kind of hard to see, that's where it was for sale, believe it or not. And what was crazy when we thumbed through this, when my buddy Josh owned this magazine, you would look through this like the Auto Trader, and these were cover trucks, and we're just like, holy crap. But here is the layout. So this is the first 2-page spread, which is super cool. This looks like a kind of a long exposure here, and then boom, here you go. There's the rear 3/4.
Yep.
So it's kind of cool that we've got Phil on now. We're talking about his truck, and then here for the first time he goes, "Wow, I didn't realize that." So to me, that's what we love to bring to the table. We love to go, "Hey, let's look back at our history," because as you know, Phil, we've got such a rich history, and to me, we're very fortunate as mini truckers. Although some people would look at us and go, "Oh, these are the misfits," right? But at the end of the day, there is really a lot of history.
Oh yeah, I would say it was a pool of highly creative people, not misfits.
Right, I like that,
because we were attention getters. I mean, you couldn't go down the street in a truck like that or trucks like that and not have people go, "Holy crap, look at that." It's like that kind of stuff. It's like, it's the, I guess, the adoration, or at least people that really were complimenting your work. So it's like an artist. You paint a painting and you hope somebody likes it. And then, oh my goodness, somebody buys it. It's like, wow. So you feel like, okay, I'm going to do another one. So that's like what I did. Yeah, I just kept building them. And so I didn't stop building things until probably, 10 years ago when I sold my company. Yeah.
Yeah, and here's what I want to show folks. I'm going to go back because, again, this is the dynamic that I've always envisioned, being able to do this podcast and showing. And I can't thank Phil enough for doing the video portion of it. So just we'll go through this kind of a little quicker, but just mention some of what you see here.
You've seen that Volkswagen when I started, it belonged in a junkyard.
Oh,
it was bad.
Convertible. What year was it?
I think it was a 70 or 71. It was a Super Beetle.
Yeah, they're hard to tell apart.
Yeah, a friend of mine who used to work for me in a computer software company, he knew what I did as a hobby, or a business, and which became a business. And he called me up and he says, "Do you remember my wife's car?" "Oh yeah, it was an orange with a black top." And he goes, "Well, it's not like that anymore. It's kind of bad, and she wants to restore it." And I said, "Well, okay, does she want to restore it or customize it?" And he says, "Well, she's got this color that she really likes." I said, "Okay, so she wants to customize it." So yeah, I took this piece of junk, which you couldn't even drive it. I mean, when you sat in the driver's seat, which looked like all the seats looked like a dog had attacked them. I mean, they were all ripped up, like you see in movies. Oh, the dog just went crazy, and that's what happened. Her dog went crazy and tore up the front seats and the back seats.
Insane.
And you would sit in the driver's seat, and I drove it, I think, like not very far, and you had to, I don't know if I can show you, you had to sit with the steering wheel sideways to go straight. And I said, "Okay, I'm not taking this back to my house. I will trailer it because it's not drivable." Yeah. So I took it back to my house, and a friend of mine and I, who worked out of his garage, we completely tore it apart.
That's cool.
Rebuild it from the ground up, motor and everything, new tires, paint, and the whole 9 yards. Had to do a lot of body work. There's a lot of rust. So basically, all the fenders were replaced. Yeah, it was pretty cool because I found these restoration parts places for Volkswagens.
Oh yeah. We talked about the 55. I remember this as soon as I saw it because I read Truckin front to back every month, and I have almost everyone from the 90s. I remember because down here it says Lance Martz, and I remember this feature. Yeah. This must have been after SEMA because it's at the Salt Flats.
Yeah, it was. That's well, this was SEMA. The repeat offender portion is they approached me at SEMA and they said, "Oh, Phil, here we go again." And they said, "We really want to shoot your truck or your Durango." And so the nickname of this vehicle I gave it was Deranged. And it was kind of deranged because the body kit, and I had it bagged and it was slammed on 22s. And of course, the engine, you can't see the engine, but it was crazy again. It was Phil Rush engine.
Yeah, and we're showing you guys all this because I want you to know that although Phil had the one cover truck, I mean, Phil and I have spent some time on the phone, and it's mind-blowing. We're going to go through a couple more of these slides, but, I mean, you have had your hand in so much stuff outside of all of the other stories you've told me. Like, it's mind-blowing, Phil.
Yeah.
And then this was lifted Ford crew cab dually.
Yeah, that was a Ford crew cab 4x4 that we got from Ford. We became a builder for Ford Motor Company on sort of a fluke meeting at SEMA one day. They approached me, and because I was walking around doing my spiel, trying to get free stuff for the next project. And they said, you're Phil Rush, aren't you? And I go, yeah. You did that mini truck that was on the cover of Mini Truckin. And I went, yeah. Which one? They went, oh, the one with the wild paint job. And I said, oh, yeah. They said, well, we'd like you to become a builder for. That's back in the day when you could buy a vehicle for $1. They stopped all that in 2008 when we had that big, unfortunate financial crash.
Mm-hmm.
But so I built several, or not my company built several of them for Ford. And this one we built for Gibson Exhaust. They were sort of a co-sponsor. And you bought the vehicle for $1. You had to keep it on the show circuit or magazines and stuff for 18 months, and you got to keep it. And this was back in the day when we had the reputation, fortunately, thank God, that we could get sponsored by everybody. I made phone calls. They said, just tell me what you want. And so this paint job, again, was designed by my son, Jason, who's an artist. And this one I nicknamed Hellfire. And that's when I knew Al Martinez because of the shows, but I knew he had a custom paint company or a shop. So I went down there, met with him, and I had, renditions, and I showed him, and we did this one and an excursion also. His painter did the paint job. And then we lifted it, put like an 8-inch lift on it, have, I think they're 39-inch tires. And then we did the suspension. It had all the drive shafts realigned and everything. And then we had propane injection put in it. That was another company that sponsored it.
Wow.
Killer sound system, the whole 9 yards. And then, it was kind of a crazy thing. It was a monster to drive. I mean, it was loud because we had the custom exhaust put on it that Gibson built for the diesel. And this was the first Ford we built. It's kind of laughed when they sent me we want you to build a 4 Taurus wagon. I said, why? And I guess back when they were trying to still sell them.
Right.
And I'm like, okay. And they sent me these pictures and they said, would you build it? So they said, well, you need to send us a proposal. I said, okay. So I did this artist rendition of what you see where the gal that's standing next to it, it looked like pretty much like that. And so I did that from basically a piece of paper. And that was in magazines too. That was in Euro Lowrider.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I remember you telling me that, and how ironic because, you look at pretty much anything you touched, and some guys might go, oh, this guy Phil, I remember him back in the day. It like even the mid 90s, you build this cool truck, but this stuff is slammed and lifted.
This is in 2004, I think, 2005. We did this. And then this is later on. This is 2006 truck. Yeah, we built that one. That was my son, Brian. He was the project manager on that one. But my son, Jason, designed the paint jobs. It had 2 different paint jobs.
Right, so this is one paint job.
Yeah, and the one that you see in the far upper right-hand corner, that's when it was nicknamed Silver Ghost. and that was in a Truckin magazine photo shoot. That's the photographer laying on the ground that you can see doing a shot from underneath, taking a shot of the truck.
Got it.
That was kind of cool. That was out in the desert. And then this is my Tonka toy. I built for myself. It's a standard cab, short bed, 4x4 Dodge Ram truck that I built. I lifted it, and again, I had the brakes changed out. I had it re-geared because I put a bunch of engine work into it. So basically, it was a 3.9. It was a 5.9 liter, but factory, I think it was like 290 horsepower, and I had it up to 390. So yeah, it could burn rubber and all four tires. I used to be funny. I'd be at a stop sign or stoplight, put it in 4-wheel drive, and just hit it, and the smoke would just come out of all four tires. And people were like, "Oh my God, what is that?"
America.
Yeah.
And then even when PT Cruisers came out, I think you had your hands on one of those.
I did that too. I figured, what the hell? So I built a bag PT Cruiser, and that was at SEMA. That's just one shot. And then that's the truck. That's the car that my son Jason and I did. That's a Saturn wagon. It's a kind of interesting story behind that. That was a Saturn wagon he bought when he was living in San Diego, and it was gold. And he ended up pulling up to a stoplight behind a car, and the car behind him slammed into him, pushed it into the car in front of him, totaled the front end, totaled the back, and I had to have it towed back to the house. And then I met with my painter, and I said, or the body shop guy, and I said, okay, here's what we're going to do. We're going to turn this into another show vehicle. So I said, I want it painted this color, so basically it gets a yellow pearl. And we had to put a new front end on it, new back end. And the only thing that was the original was the doors. I mean, the roof was all crumpled and from getting hit. Yeah, so it has you can't see it, but it's got a crazy sound system and interior, and it's front wheel drive, but it's on air. And that's when the industry had progressed enough that even though when you saw the Ford, that was props to BioCustoms, Max Fish at BioCustoms. He designed the first that I know of air ram system for front wheel drive. So it was like, the struts there in the front was sort of an air strut. And it was all done in billet aluminum, aircraft aluminum. And Max Fish is an amazing guy.
Yeah, he is. We've had him on a couple times, and he's really a talented guy.
He does crazy stuff.
Yeah,
that's why I went to him, and we did a couple of projects together. And this is the truck I did. I think this is this was not after Costly. This was the second one. Did another one that's a green S10.
Yeah, the Color of Money is the one that I always remember.
Money, yeah, that one was in Mini Truckin'. And that was, again, went wacko crazy, it's bagged and, got a 4-leg at the back, and it's, the engine again was crazy. And then we did the wheels and the 20s on it, and then the engine. And then it was at shows, and it kept winning. And I'm like, okay, what am I going to do next? Once it's in a magazine and it's been a lot of shows, I'm like, okay, I have ADHD when it comes to vehicles. I get tired of them and I move on to the next one. And then I built the other S10 on fire. That was cool. That was the truck that I was in when I got rear-ended. I told you that story about that F-350 that just thank God the way we built them, or I had my friend build them, that was helping me build them. He, back when these little mini trucks had C channels as their frame rails, and he would box them for me, which would make them rigid, because when you bagged a vehicle like that and you were doing all this twisting and turning, you would just twist the shit out of the C channel. So he would box the frame and put cross members on it. That saved my life. That engineering saved my life. Because if we hadn't done that, if you can imagine that bed it would have been shoved into the cab, which would have shoved me into the steering wheel and would have killed me. But
Yeah.
it saved my life, basically.
Yeah.
And I was able to fix it because it was such a rigid truck. I was able to fix it, and I ended up turning around selling it. So then I went on to the next one, So
yeah, it's crazy. And I want people to
Yeah.
know the Color of Money that ran in November 98, issue 83. And this was cool because getting to know Phil, obviously his name was involved with it, but now it makes sense, a rush to the winner's circle. And
Yeah.
what's awesome is, and I don't mean this in any bad way, like, I often think of like music. There's a lot of one-hit wonders. Some of my favorite bands or groups, they only put out a couple albums and you kind of go, man, I really liked them, but there wasn't a lot.
Yeah.
With Phil, the thing that I wanted to really establish with the viewers and listeners is that, Phil, and I mean this with all respect, like, was not a one-hit wonder. And it's okay that people were, but I was amazed getting to know Phil, like, wow, like, look at all the other things that he contributed. And to me, that like just shows how well-rounded you were. And this isn't even really hitting on everything.
Yeah. It just, to me, it was my creative outlet. It was actually, it helped keep me sane, because at the time when I was building a lot of these things, I mean, I was an executive in a computer software company, and you talk about stress. I mean, budgets and people, and I had, like, at one time I had, throughout the world, I actually had about 150 people working for me. And they were in England, they were in China, they were in Germany, they were obviously in the United States, and they were all over the United States, because I was really big on people working from home. I mean, I helped.
Wow, you were like an innovator
myself.
back then.
Oh yeah, a couple of guys and I were back in, God, this is way a long time ago. I think it was in 1976. I went to my boss and I said, I figured out a way that I can, because I was a troubleshooter, I could troubleshoot these problems without driving all the way in. I used to have an hour drive to get to work. Meanwhile, these big, huge mainframes were down and they weren't doing anything. And they're waiting for this guy, Phil. And then there was two other guys that did the same thing, because we had 3 data centers back when they called them data centers. They still do, but they're way different. I mean, we're talking about computers that were the size of, like 20 houses that you have on your laptop now. So that's how crazy it is. But we used to use dial-up, and I figured out a way I could troubleshoot from home. So I didn't have to drive. I could sit in my pajamas on a computer terminal, and I could figure out what was wrong with the computers and fix it. And then, or tell people on the other side, here, go do this, go do that. And all of a sudden the systems would come back up. And I felt great about that. But that was in the mid-70s we were doing that.
Oh yeah, that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool.
And then when I went into other businesses, I mean, I had people that, I had, executives, oh, you can't do that from home, and I can't trust them. And I said, they're salaried. You're not paying them by the hour.
Exactly.
What are you talking about? I mean,
yeah, and
results.
You have to be.
I mean, I'm a results guy. I don't care how long it takes somebody or how fast they do it. We're looking at results. If I give somebody a job to do or a task and it gets done, great, move on. Next thing. Next. And that's kind of how I am. Always been judged. I always would like to be judged on results, and that's how I would work with other people. And I started having people work remotely in the 80s, and executives would just, like, their heads would explode. Like, you can't do that. I'm like, yeah, we can. And here's how we're going to do it. Because I had women that would get pregnant and then they'd have to leave, and they were upset because they'd lose income. And I said, no, you can work from home. Like, I can? Like, yeah, I'll set it all up. I'll send the hardware to.
We're like, we love you, boss. We love you.
Yeah, I mean, well, it's like, yeah. So people like to work with me. I call it worked with, not worked for. I never liked that term, worked for. Work with me. And I always wanted to. My philosophy was, my success is based on helping other people be successful. I had a lot of great mentors that taught me that. And I'm glad they did, because that's kind of where I am, where I am today. I'm a product of other people, not just me. So
yeah. And you remind me a lot of my boss, Travis, now. And I've worked for a lot of bosses. I worked at Verizon Wireless for 20 years and got up to headquarters and worked for people I loved, worked for people I didn't. But my boss now, he's the type of guy. I was telling my buddy the other day, like some of the things my boss was doing, and he goes, "Man, your boss actually gives a crap for you guys." And I go, "Yeah." I'm like, and he knows that, like, if he goes, "Hey, Jay, before you head out, can you do this real quick?" I'm going to do it 100 times in a row, because this guy goes above and beyond to go, "Hey, there's a storm coming. You guys go ahead and leave early, finish the day from home, or, hey, you're going on vacation next week. Go ahead and work from home on Friday," or whatever. And you just go, "Wow, okay."
Kind of the way I operated. Yeah.
Yep. A couple more questions, and then we're going to wrap it up, Phil.
Sure.
And then I did promise. No, you're fine.
Doing some wild tangents,
Yeah, I promised everyone at the top of the episode, I'm going to talk about what number Phil's truck, Toyota-wise, was on the cover, and then how many total Toyotas were on the cover, how many Truckin. So I'll share that in just a moment. But I want to ask you one more thing. Like, when you think about all the truck runs you went to, all the people you interacted, the clubs, Artenoy, shout out to them, shout out to Relaxed. Is there one memory that always comes back every few years that makes you smile to go, "Man, I went to these epic runs. I hung out with a lot of cool people." Is there any one memory that comes to mind?
Well, there was one, I guess you'd call it truck run. It was a 3-day, I think it was Spring Splash.
Okay.
Because it was always in spring.
Right.
And I think I alluded to a little bit about my thing with the pan and that was fun.
Right.
But yeah, I guess one of my memories, which may ring a bell for some people, is if you remember when you were a virgin truck runner,
right,
and what they would do to people. That's, we're going to go back in the time, because when I was a natural bodybuilder and I was bigger and, blah, blah, blah. I'm standing there, with I was still with Art of Noise. And they come up to me and we're talking, and this group of people, and they say, "Oh, you're a first timer, aren't you?" And I said, "Yeah, you try to come to me with that paper and I'm going to bean you with it and take that beer can and shove it down your throat." And they went, "Okay, see you later." And then, I'd walk along, and all of a sudden I see this young guy, shrink wrap to a tree, and he's like,
yeah. You're like, "I beat it."
And,
yeah.
And
no hazing here.
With the big funnels and the beer, and they're like, "Oh God, just don't kill him." Yeah, it was funny. I mean, because I would walk along and I'm not drunk, and all these people are just out of their gourd. It was funny. And that sticks out to me, as that's
cool.
Not as sad funny, but a funny, because then I'd always make sure they weren't abusing the person, because I'm the guy that walks by.
Yeah, no, I get it.
You can do that, but don't do that. Don't start hitting him with a piece of wood. You're not doing that. So, yeah.
A few minutes ago, when I reached over there, I wanted to give a shout out. We had Robert Kamalski on, but years ago, my buddy told me about this book, and it's one of those books that when you buy it, they print it like on demand, and it ships. It ships from someone in Washington, I think. But it's called Local Finesse: Roads to Ruins, and we've talked about this in the past. But any of the new listeners that we pick up, if you want to learn more about river runs and just truck runs in general, I should say, and some of the craziness that went on, I really appreciated this book, because it talks about Courtney Halliwell. It talks about a lot of these runs.
I said I said Corey earlier. Courtney Halliwell.
He was Courtney. That's right. Yep.
He's the one who was got me started in the photo shoots and the
and he looked out for everyone.
I love that young man. Yeah.
And I was going to mention that earlier to clarify, but I was like, well, we would have figured it out, but we did. But rest in peace to Courtney. And he talks a lot of stories about Courtney in here. Like when Courtney was in the hospital, before he passed away, this was years prior, and he went and gave like a rough copy, and Courtney read it, and he was just like, wow. So we've had Robert on before. Robert looked out for me. Unfortunately, 2 years ago, a guy named Alex Hu passed away, and rest in peace to Alex Hu. And when Ryan Fringlinghouse at West Coast Customs, they did they did a big thing for him, and Robert, he sent me a shirt from there, so rest in peace, Alex. But this book kind of captures, I mean, you probably look at it now and it's got some stories, I'm like, wow, I can't believe you printed that. But with all due respect, it was kind of an epic time. And I think as we get older, we may be different ages, but a lot of us think back to some of those glory days. And the one thing I learned about you, Phil, even before we started recording, was that, you've done so many things. You were in the fitness. I mean, you've been into sports, you've had sports injuries, and I think a lot of that stuff and some of the clean living that you mentioned, that gets you to me, I hope to be, when I'm 72, I hope to be as agile as you and someone that goes, hey man, I want to hang with the guys. So
I'd rather be around right now when I had a part-time job as retirement. I really enjoyed being around the younger people because older people, old people are boring. I mean, some of them are,
right.
But
right.
The young people give me energy. I don't know that makes that sound right. They make me want to do more and do better. So to me, they were an incentive, to just do better.
Oh yeah.
Even at my age.
Oh yeah. I certainly appreciate your time. In just a minute, I am going to have to go because I'm going to call my co-host Mike. His show's coming up this weekend, Eastbound Getdown. Why don't you give, if you don't mind, if you want to give a shout out to your wife, kids, and grandkids, even if you don't want to say their names, that's fine. But I know you've got a big family, and I know that you're a family man. Oh yeah.
Well, my wife Sherry, we've been best friends and married for 52 years. And I've been around her for 53. And then my older son, Brian Rush, my younger son, Jason Rush, my daughter, who's April Rush / Gomez. And then my son, Brian, has given me with his wife, Veronica, ex-wife, but she's still in our hearts and we still love her. Nathan, who's now going to be 22 next month.
Wow.
God, I feel old. And then my next grandson, who's Trevor, who just turned 16. Okay. And then I've got 3 grandchildren from my daughter, April, and her husband, Eddie. It's the oldest one is Annabella or Bella. She's 13, going on 22. And then I've got a 10-year-old, Scarlett, and then the little bugger, his name's Nico. And the interesting thing about me is I'm covered with tattoos. You can't see them.
Wow.
But every tattoo on my body is a story. And it's usually a tribute to a child, a grandchild, my wife. And then I'm a Scorpio, so I have a big giant scorpion on my back. And of course, it's so cold here. It's like 32 degrees outside where I live.
Oh, wow.
And it gets down to 6.
I've heard.
So that's not when you go outside.
And you're in Prescott.
I'm in northern Arizona, not southern where it's 95. So that's my family. And they're great. My oldest grandson, Nathan, moved up here to really help me take care of my wife, Sherry, who's got a lot of medical issues, but she's my inspiration because she's my hero, because even though she's got a lot of issues, she still perseveres and pushes through. And I'm home recovering from I told you, cervical surgery related to 2 old car accidents. But like I told you, in 2018, I was riding my bicycle as I'm a big bicyclist on the road in California, and some texting driver just came along and sideswiped me. I got thrown up in the air, landed on my head, landed on my shoulder, crushed it, and So, but anyway, that's history.
Wow.
So,
last question: what's the secret to the marriage of 52, 53 years? Let's call it.
Well, you gotta like each other. I mean, if you don't like each other, it ain't gonna last. I don't care. You could love each other to death. My parents loved each other, but they just didn't like each other, and they got divorced when I was 10. But they still loved each other. But yeah, I mean, we like each other. I mean, my wife and I like to tell other people we're each other's best friend. I can say anything to her. She can say anything to me. I mean, we can have an argument and 5 minutes later, it's like, you're good. It's in the rear view. It's like, we don't go back and go, well, you remember back 5 years ago? No, I don't.
I remember 1977 when you said
we don't do that crap. I mean, if we talk about back like in 78 or whatever, it's a fond memory, not a crappy one.
Right.
So
Well, good for you guys. That's
we don't
awesome.
dwell on the negative. Let's put it that way. We don't dwell on the negative. We focus on the positive.
That's what my dad used to always say. I love it. Amen to that. Look, I do got to let you go, but I want to let everyone know again. I said this at the beginning.
It's been fun.
Phil's truck was the 18th Toyota on the cover of Mini Truckin magazine. Okay, but how many were total? Total 78. And get this, nobody knows this. Nobody's ever figured this out. Not that I know, or as far as I know. But yes, 78 was even more than the S10. So Toyota has the crown for the most covers. That includes, I've always told people, if it's a group photo and there's like 3 main vehicles, it's like, okay, 1, 2, 3, what were the 3? And they get tallied as well. So, I love this stuff. I don't know why when I was younger, Phil, I wasn't a math guy. But as I've gotten older, I love that we can dissect things and we can keep this history alive. I'm also on the Mini Truck Hall of Fame committee. I'm going to be talking to Radar soon. He put out the video, the movie, The West Coast Influence. And what I really want to do is I want to make sure going forward we get the right people in. If we've got to get more people in, because there's people, in my opinion, like you, Phil, that you put the work in, you went to these shows, you did the damn thing, and I appreciate you for that, because I always tell people we wouldn't be where we are today if it wasn't for guys and the ladies out there like y'all that really helped lay what I call the foundation of this mini truck scene. So I thank you.
Well, the thing that's, I think, the most memorable and important to remember about people who do all this, it's commitment, level of commitment to not just get by, but be the best you can. That's all I can say. It's just do your best and commit to just keep on doing it until you get where you need to be.
I love it, Phil. Well, listen, now that I feel like we've become friends, I feel like I've known you forever.
Oh, yeah.
We definitely got to keep in touch.
Like
and if you do have, you got my number now. I'm really in trouble. No, I'm just kidding. If you do come across, you sent a ton of gold already. I know you mentioned to me you may have some behind the scenes from the Sharks That Shoot. So shout out to Mike, or anything that you come across that you think we would find valuable. We'll certainly share and give you credit. And then we'll, of course, be tagging Phil on some of the posts. So if you do, want to go over there and check out his truck, certainly check that out via social media.
Okay.
Thank
I'll
you,
also
Phil.
send you that story I told you about the Iraqi war veteran we built that van for.
Yes, and that was, hold on really quick. Don't say it. I took a note. It was Gerald Hancock.
Yes.
And I'm going to look him up.
Hancock.
So there's
easy to find him. Just Google him, and he's all over the place.
Yep. I thank you for what you've done. If we would have had more time, we could have went down some more of the bunny trails. We'd love to get you back. But Happy New Year. I wish your wife all the best, and to all your kids and grandkids. You got one hell of a cool dad. Let's just say it. Let's keep it real.
Thank you.
Thanks, Phil.